When we think of awakening, what comes to mind are concepts around it. We imagine it to be a spiritual experience. And with the word spiritual, we imagine sort of like smoke in the background and a teacher talking with a kind of airy voice and a whole room full of people crying, or maybe we're by ourselves doing the same. And awakening is not an experience, it is a realization. It's a realization of something that already existed. We are whole and complete. We always have been whole and complete. We've taken on ideas of our limitation. We've taken on ideas that we are human beings. And with the idea that we're human beings, we think, oh, I'm a human being who's too tall. I'm a human being who doesn't make enough money. I'm a human being that nobody else listens to. And with these concepts of ourselves, we're getting further and further away from who we really are. Who we really are is very simple and available to us at any moment behind the chattering of the mind. All that awakening is realizing that we are not the mind. We're not the mind body, this unit that we're using to walk around the earth. When we realize we're not that, we start to look at what we are. When we actually experience, when we embody who we really are, we are fully awakened. So when this happens, often it's the beginning of another kind of journey. So you have quit seeking outside of yourself for the answers to life's questions. And a lot of times we don't even, as humans, we don't even believe that that's possible. We think we are just stuck questioning, who am I? What am I doing here? What's the whole point of this? Until the end of time. That's not true. The answer is very simple. It's right in front of us. It is us. Without the commentary of the mind. We're walking around living life with a commentator, like watching a movie with commentary on every moment. How annoying that is. That's how we're living. And if we can live our life, like live the sort of story of this body, mind, traversing the earth without commentary, it becomes so clear. So what we have to do is drop the character that we've created since we were kids. And we've created this character based on the people that we've been around. So we say, okay, when I act like this happens. When I believe this, I'm in the club. When I act like this, I get good attention or bad attention. I get more attention than I was getting either way. So all of these things that we've packed around ourselves make us feel safe. The realization of who we really are can be really uncomfortable. And our ego, our constructed self, tends to resist this process. It says, if I'm no longer myself, I'm basically dead. If I drop all the traits I've attached to myself, who am I? What even is there? And so this Buddhist concept of becoming nobody, it's very terrifying for a lot of people. It's not appealing. This is not exactly, in the past, has not been a popular pursuit because nobody wants to lose this artificial sense of safety that they've created around themselves in a world that feels dangerous. When you realize that your true self has never been subject to any danger or damage or diminishment of any kind, you realize that you've been seeking safety in that which is harming you. And so when you are able to drop this constructed self. You live life without commentary. That's really all there is to it. The knowing, the automatic knowing that's always been there of I exist, I am consciousness. That is who I am. Floods into the mental space, into your awareness, into your physical space. It can transform your body on a cellular level once your thoughts realign with the new understanding of who you are. The mind becomes a tool for creation rather than a kind of train off the tracks, just going wild through the countryside with no direction. So we use the power of the mind, which we've had this entire time, but it's been diminished by our lack of understanding of it. We use this power of the mind to consciously create our lives. And this new level of consciousness that we embody then begins to affect the world around us. And so this is why if we're making ourselves sort of unhappy through the service to others, we are maybe helping on a surface level, maybe not, but ultimately we are diminishing our own capability of understanding the consciousness that we are by being unhappy. If we make ourselves unhappy, if we drain ourselves, if we're helping in a way that is hurting us, we're not helping overall. The only thing we are doing here is learning to be the happiness, the love that we are. That's our identity. That's what we're made of. The fabric of reality, all of this creation, all of this life being breathed into all these forms comes from love. But because we perceive ourselves as separate from the source of that love, we're in the dark. And so a lot of times people say, why would some all-loving creator create these forms that are capable of such destruction? Why is it so hard for these forms that have been created from love to access that love? It's right there. We've been created from love with a veil. We're living these lives through a filter of mind and body. Removing that filter is how we return to that light. I think we see light and dark as these kind of polar opposite things. Darkness isn't really a thing unto itself. It's an absence of this thing. It's an absence of light. And so when we come into our own light, which is within each of us at all times and is just waiting for ignorance to be overcome, ignorance of our true selves, of the purpose of all of this. When we return to our true selves in that light, darkness cannot stand. I heard all of these messages for 17 years as sort of poetic and as metaphors for things. What I didn't realize was that words are never going to fully explain these concepts, but we have to let go of all of our attachment to the concepts and allow the words to sort of wash over us to find an inner resonance with who we really are. And we realize that these concepts are pointing to something very real. They're not poetic ways for us to feel slightly less unhappy or to feel slightly less burdened. They are real concepts that have complete transformative power. We also come to realize in the awakening process that we are no longer subject to time. Time is a construct. It's a part of the physics of this world. the human body is subject to the physics. But what we don't realize when we're identified as a human is that we are limiting the, the possibilities within these physics through our concepts. If I think, okay, I was born into a family that has this and this and this and this disease, and they also think this and this way, and I'm just going to adopt all of this. What we are unknowingly doing is thinking the thoughts that then perpetuate the health within that body that mirrors the thoughts of these people who we've inherited these ideas from. We're creating this circumstance through our belief in the thoughts that we have. So awakening is really the removal of all that is false and the automatic coming to that which is left over, that which remains. And that is only one thing. There's only one thing that every human being will realize when they stop thinking. And that is, I am. I am the consciousness. I am the fabric behind all of this. That is what we're able to feel and embody when we go beyond thought.